Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So we are at the end of their 10-part series of how to start your medical billing business. The last 3 videos are going to be included in this Cario webinar that I participated in last week. I have added sales tips, marketing tips, onboarding tips, all of my 7 strategies, my 7 tips to start your own successful medical billing business. It is in this Cario webinar. Here is the thing with this Cario webinar. If you go to the link in the description box, or I'll have it pinned as well in the comment section, and you sign up for the Cario webinar, you will have access to all of these event resources where I put my medical billing business startup checklist in there for free. You'll also have the building your ideal customer profile, Cario quick start guide, new patient, new practice startup checklist, starting your own billing company, 5 keys to doing it right. There is a discount code for my billing business bundle with all of my digital downloads and templates for starting your own medical billing business. And it is an exclusive offer to Cario, so it'll be 50% off. If you go to my website right now, it's $147. If you watch the Cario webinar and you get the discount code from there, you will get 50% off. And you will use Cario50 as the coupon code to get 50% off. In the resource tab is where you will actually get all of those resources. So you won't be able to get it from me. I won't be able to email it to you. You won't be able to get it from my website. You'll have to go to the link down below, register for the webinar. And once you get into the webinar, you can look at all of the resources and get all of that information and those free checklists from there. So this is it, guys. This is the 10-part series. This is a master class, okay? If I had this information when I started, I would be unstoppable, but I did not have a fraction of this information. I had the checklist from the internet, from some random site, and I just, Jimmy rigged my way through this business and this career. And it's led me to this point where now I can pull all that expertise in and all my mistakes and all of the things I've done and pulled it into a 10-part series for you. And at this point, there's really nothing more I can do for you guys. I can always help you with mentoring. I can help you get better. I could keep you guys, I could keep refining you and encouraging you and setting you up with certain things. But at the end of the day, starting a medical billing business is like driving a stick shift, right? It's like driving a manual car. I learned how to drive when I was 15 and I got my license at 16. And then I went and did additional training for stick shift. And I learned how to drive that stick shift in a day. I learned actually how to drive it in a couple of hours. But when you're driving a stick shift, you need to really be able to practice, not stalling, starting, downshifting, whatever. The process of being an expert driver of a manual car took me about maybe 6 months, right? But I learned it on the first day. I could get by. I knew what I was doing. I could drive anywhere I wanted to go on the first day. It took me about 6 months to be an expert, to understand how my shift worked, to understand what was a trigger for stalling and how to recover from a stall and how not to roll back on a heel. And so it's the same thing with this tip. Even though I offer consulting, ongoing consulting and mentoring, and you will need those. But in terms of starting, which is the purpose of this 10-part series, starting your successful medical billing company, you've got it all. You've got the keys. Watch this over and over and over again. Take notes. Download the resources on Cario. Go to the link below. And if you want the bundle where I give you a contract template for your contracts, I give you a template for your business plan, I give you worksheets for productivity, I give you a permission or an information template, a request of information template, go there, buy my startup bundle. I've made it very affordable for everyone who wants to try and do this. I've made it extremely affordable for you guys to do. So it's $147 if you don't go through Cario. If you just go to my website, thejadedmedicalbiller.com, and it's 50% off if you do go to Cario and get the code from there.
Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for key tips to set your billing company up for success. My name is Nicole Osako, and I'm a partner marketing manager at Cario, a Tebra company. Today's presentation will be led by Rachel Green, CEO of the Jaded Medical Biller. Before we begin the presentation, I'd like to point out a few things on your webinar screen. There's a comment box where you can type in your questions at any time. At the end of the presentation, Rachel will respond to as many questions as we have time for. And later, we'll email you the responses to your questions with a link to the recorded webinar and all related resources. If you have any trouble with sound or with the slides not moving forward, you can try pressing the refresh button, which is the icon with the two arrows going in a circle. And if you still have trouble, feel free to type into the comment box and we'll do our best to help resolve the issue. If you're on Twitter, we encourage you to connect with us at GoCario. We're also on Facebook and LinkedIn, where we share industry news and educational resources to help you succeed. We are proud to inform you that this webinar has been approved by AAPC for 1 CEU credit. If you would like to receive an AAPC certificate, please fill out the survey at the end of the webinar. Today, Rachel will walk us through how to start and run a medical billing company with what she's identified as the 7 steps to success. She'll go over education and expertise, how to complete your startup checklist, how to create your business plan and roadmap, how to secure business funding, what you need in a medical billing system, marketing and sales tips to get your business up and running, and client onboarding. And then we'll end things off with our Q&A session. And now it's time to introduce Rachel. Rachel Green is the CEO of the Jaded Medical Biller. Rachel founded the Jaded Medical Biller Consulting to help established medical billers take the next step towards opening their own company. An established coach and business mentor with over 15 years of experience, she offers startup services, courses, ebooks, and private mentoring via her website, The Jaded Medical Biller. She also has an established YouTube presence, as well as a podcast, which is a source of information and education. And now I'll hand things over to Rachel.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you for joining me, everyone. I'm very honored to be able to present this webinar today for the 7 tips that I recommend that you use to start a successful medical billing business, or if you've got a medical billing business already and you want to improve it, this is going to be just as helpful. So let's get started. So when you're starting a medical billing business, or if you've already started, there are a few things to consider: your education and your expertise. That's going to play a big role in how everything else follows, how you set it up, how much money you need in funding, what type of people you need to employ, and if you're going to start small or large. So the more you know, it's important to understand that the more you know about setting up and operating, the less you need to spend on having it done for you. So I started in 2007, way back in the day. So under Bush's administration, I've gone through 4 presidents: Bush, Obama, Trump, and now Biden. And each one changes. So if you've got a lot of experience, you can do a lot of things on your own. If you don't have a lot of experience, I actually skipped a slide, I'm sorry. So I started out and I was not a certified medical biller. So are you a certified medical biller and a certified coder with experience? This is going to be things you need to consider. Or have you received on-the-job coding and billing training, but you have no certification? That's me. When I started, I did not have any certification. I started on the job. I started in medical records. I moved into medical billing. They trained me on the job. Or you might be a person who you don't have any billing or coding experience, and you don't have a certification, but you understand it's a good business to be in. You understand there's a lot of profit to be made, so you're interested in starting a business. So you're one of those things. So consider that, and then we can move on to the next slide, which I skipped to prematurely. That's going to be the second part of the education and expertise. The more you know about setting it up, which I already said, the less you need to pay to get it done for you. If you have the on-the-job training like I did, then I recommend you hire at least a consultant to verify that you are dotting your I's and crossing your T's during your setup. Because I didn't go to school, so I might have missed out on some things that, would have been very important for me. But I didn't, and so I'm recommending you do it now. Or 3, you are the third person, the third type that doesn't have any expertise or certification. So I recommend you consider more funding to start up, because you'll need to hire people who have the necessary skills. Either they're skilled medical billers, or they're medical or they're business management professionals who could help you set up and run your business. So that's going to be your starting point. I hope that makes sense. Depending on who you are, where you are, that's how we're going to start your foundation. First thing you need is a startup checklist. When I started my business, I was an employee. I was working as a medical biller. I thought I could do this. I can start a business like this, and I could help people, and I could be more effective than the company that I was working for. That was my thought process. But when I got online, I couldn't really find anything that was good for me, because there are companies out there that will help you start a medical billing business. But once I looked at what they offered, I realized a lot of those things I already knew. And I didn't want to pay a large amount of money to get trained doing things I already knew how to do. And then the things that I didn't know how to do, they didn't have. So I was stuck. And I stumbled across a checklist that is the checklist that I offer now. It's the same one I used. It helped me. I was successful using it. I've added on to it over the years, and so that's available in the resource tab. But you're going to need a startup checklist, okay? And the reason why you need one is because it keeps you on track, and it also mentally prepares you for what to expect, okay? Or prepares you for what to expect in the future, definitely. I had a checklist, and I started using it, but I skipped a lot of things. I didn't do it in order, and it caused a lot of problems in my startup and my startup process and the stress levels, and it delayed me. And so I want to teach you what to do and not what I did. Don't do what I did, so that you can be a little more successful. So you want to follow it in order, and that'll reduce the stress and increase your chances of success. Trust me. This is a funny slide to me because I have a YouTube channel, like Nicole mentioned earlier, and I posted this around 2018 or 2019, and I was talking about the 2019 process or 18 process of starting my company. And I was working full time, and I was trying to do everything, and I was so overwhelmed. I was getting pushback. Things I was applying for were getting denied. I was trying to apply for an MPI at the time, and I kept getting kicked back, and I was screaming and white knuckling like I'm in over my head. And by the end of that freak out in my car, I realized I needed to backtrack, go back to my checklist, put my head down, follow the steps, and stop making it harder on myself. So I just want to tell you guys that so you can avoid it in the future. Just don't do what I've done. And then I went and I said, I need a business plan and a roadmap because I need help. And Benjamin Franklin said, by failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. And that is so true. And I don't know who you follow in terms of business help or business coaching, but they'll all tell you the same thing. And why fight it? They've been through it. The trail is blazed. Start a business plan. And when you start a business plan, especially for medical billing, these are the questions you need to answer and understand. What is the opportunity? What problem is the business going to solve? What is your mission? Why do you want to solve this problem? What is the solution? How will the service uniquely solve the problem identified? Market focus is super important as well. What is your ideal customer? And what business will you target? Okay. Are you targeting private practitioners, nurse practitioners, hospitals, small groups, large groups? What's your market focus? Your competitive advantage. How does the business intend to succeed against its competitors? This is what hurts a lot of my clients and a lot of my students.
They get afraid, they get scared easily when they see that there are other billing companies in the area or they're bigger billing companies. So I always want you to understand what is your specific advantage. So put that in your plan if you've got one. Who is the ownership? Who is the major stakeholders in the company? Are you doing it by yourself? Do you have business partners, investors? And what is the expected return? Okay, what are your key milestones for revenue, profits, growth, and customers? Those are things you may not have all the answers to, but I want you to get at least a rough sketch and a rough plan of what it is that you're looking for. Okay, once you get that all done, this is before you're doing anything major in the business. This is just the foundation. You want to consider the funding. How are you going to pay for all of this? Because my students come in all different financial situations. I've had students come to me and they've maxed out their budget with just one mentoring session and they're at zero, but they want to start the business. And I've had clients and students who have literally no budget. So there are many ways to go about business funding. First, I really want you guys to calculate how much you are worth. That's really important because that's what I had to do. Because like I said, I came in with a lot of experience. I came in with no certification into the industry, but a lot of experience. I then had a lot of experience in business, building businesses. I had the opportunity to start clinics. I had the opportunity to talk to congressmen and congresswomen about certain billing laws and Stark laws. And so I had a good understanding of it without really knowing what to do with all that information I was gathering. So over time, you've gathered a lot of information and experience, and you're gonna translate that into dollars because that's one less person you have to hire, okay? So I was self-funded, I had a job, and I funded my business startup with my job. I could have gone to a bank or a private lender, but I just didn't know how to do that. And when I started, I just didn't want to do it. I should say, I just didn't want to deal with the hassle of it. I just wanted to start it on my own. So that's what I did. And you may not be able to do that, or you may not want to do it. Do you have savings? Are you looking to investors, family, friends? Are you going to traditional banks for a business loan? Or do you want to use a private lender who might be a little more lenient with credit scores and things like that? I work with a private lender. If you want more information, you can definitely contact me at thejadedmedicalbiller.com, and I will give you, I will connect you with the private lender that I work with if you need that. So let's see. So then after you get that done, sorry guys, am I skipping ahead? The next thing you need to really pay attention to is your medical billing system. This is going to be a make it or break it for you. I can't stress this enough. When you're dealing with the system needs to do as much work for you as it possibly can when you're building a new business, especially a business where you have multiple clients, okay? And so what do you need in a billing system to do? What do you need, okay? It needs to have the ability to manage multiple practices from one location. So you're the location, and let's say you've got a client in New York, you've got 2 in California, you got 3 in Texas, you got 4 in Montana. You need a system that has the ability to manage all of these different locations. You need one that has a completely integrated EHR solution. That's very important so that you can keep everything coordinated and reduce a lot of the stress and bottlenecks that happen when you have a system that's not EHR integrated. And the online university portal. I've probably, in my professional life, when I was a biller, worked with about 15 systems. And when I tell you, you need so much help. Sometimes you're navigating, you don't know how to do things, you don't know how to move claims, you don't know how to fix things, delete things. You can't always call the 800 number for the service department. Maybe you're working late, maybe you're a remote worker, or you have a lot of remote employees, or you plan to. You need a system that has an online university portal already in place with everything that your people need, including you, so that you can move your training and your technical issues and your problem solving forward without waiting for someone to call you. Oh, sorry, you're calling. We're not open. We're only open Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12. That's a nightmare. So you want a system that has a great university portal. That's very important because you're going to need it. And you want a system that is a billing company specific, that has a billing specific team. So a billing company specific support team. Why? Because if you're dealing with a system that is just, it's an EHR, it's an EMR, they have billing capabilities, you don't want to deal with a company that you're paying a lot of money for on a monthly basis that really focuses on clinicians, really focuses on records, but really can't help you too much with billing. You are a medical billing company. You're not a medical practice. So your focus in terms of a system that you need needs to be a system that is focused on you as a medical billing company. And you need added integrations to offer to your clients. So when I have clients, the way that I build value for me, for what they're paying me, because I'm on the higher end of what I charge, is to be able to give them a lot of great suggestions that will build their business on their end and make them more money. So if your system has different integrations for marketing and website and payment collections and payment posting and billing, that's what you need to have in your system so that you can offer to your clients and you look like the person who knows it all and has all the good answers and can help them. Okay. So what does Cario offer? Cario offers everything that I'm telling you you need, in my opinion, my professional opinion, with all of my years of experience and going through this process of opening and running a business. The ability to manage multiple practices from one location. I have clients who come in and they have logins to everyone else's system, and they go into their clients' portals and they do the billing, and they're burned out. They can't take more than 2 to 3, maybe 4 clients. They don't know how to enter or to coordinate all this information. It's chaotic. So Cario offers a solution for that. And I don't suggest that you work in individual clients' systems. I want you to pull them all into Cario, and they have the ability to take care of them for you. A completely integrated EHR solution, that's what Cario offers. It ensures fast process times, and it has cleaner data entry, much cleaner and easier. And it's not all fragmented, okay? They've got Cario University, which is, I'm telling you, a really, when you look at some of the competitors, a very good university. Everything is there. There's manuals, there's videos, and there's online support. So you have all 3 of those things. So if you don't have access to online support, or you're working at midnight and they're not open, you've got the videos, you've got the manuals. There's always a way to get in touch with somebody or to get an answer. And that's the most important thing, is that you want the answer. Even if you can't get in touch with somebody, you can find the answer. Cario University offers that. It's comprehensive, and it's for you and your staff. Billing company specific support team. It's a dedicated team with deep industry knowledge. That's very important. So you know this as medical billers, most likely, that sometimes you don't know what you're doing, right? You're stuck and you're like, oh, how do I fix this? And the insurance companies or the payers they're literally instructed not to help you. They're not going to help you get paid. So your people who are stuck with something, a denial or some problems, when they call the payers aren't going to help them. If they don't come with the knowledge and they haven't received the proper education, or someone at your office that's not available to train them on the technical side of the medical billing and coding industry, you're stuck with a situation where you just cannot figure it out. Well, Cario has a team that is dedicated to your success, and they've got industry knowledge, so they can help you and your team with that when you're stuck with something like that. And that's really important. And many EHR systems, I don't know any that will offer that type of support. And then they have an added value through Patient Pop. This is one of the things that I was mentioning. So Patient Pop, if you are going to recommend it to your clients, Patient Pop helps your clients, which are practices around the country, improve their client-patient experience. It positions yourself as a more than just a biller, right? You're more than just somebody who's taking money from them. Now you're more like a consultant. Now you're saying, I'm collecting for you, I'm charging you for my services, but I can also tell you about things that will boost your revenue, that will help you run your business. So you want a system that offers you tools to offer to your clients so that you look more like a resource, a business consultant, than just somebody who is a vendor who needs a check every month. And that's very important. So why do I recommend Cario? So for me, it's the partnership program, okay? It's the partnership program for me. The partnership program, I will tell you, is something that you work your way into. You don't automatically get into the program. You have access to a lot of the resources, which are very important, and I'm going to talk about those. But there's different levels to the partnership program, and it's well worth it when you get into it. And there's nothing on the market that I'm aware of that is like it. And that's why I recommend Cario. Okay, so there's a partner portal that's for you. It has resources to onboard clients. This is very important. Sales enablement tools, email templates, images, and talk tracks. So these are things that you need. Either if you don't have a system like Cario to help you with these things, you've got to develop it yourself. You've got to get a third-party company to come in and help you with your emails, help you with your images. Cario does all that for you. They're a medical billing business focused. So that's a check off the list. Why do it separately if Cario is going to do it for you? There's guides to help you have better conversations with prospects. There's software that doesn't compete with your, and it's software that doesn't compete with your business. So what I mean by that, and what they mean by that, is that it's not competing, it's only adding. When you need help with marketing or email templates or sales scripts, you don't have to go somewhere else. You go into the partner portal, and Cario's like, listen, we've been doing this for a long time. We know what kind of scripts, what to say to people. Here, have these scripts and use these proven templates. I recommend it. I can't tell you who else does that. And so that's A for me, A plus. So what is important is another step is your marketing and sales. I get a lot of questions about marketing and sales. This is probably the most because many of my students already started their business, and you guys are probably, you've already started, but maybe you're kind of struggling. You're at the beginning and you're just like, is this going to work for me? So this is my largest section of like help and tips and my biggest request when I get in, emails and DMs. Marketing and sales. I'm going to go and give you an example first. And marketing is really important. When your marketing is well developed and it is really true to who you are and what you want, your sales is much easier because your marketing does most of the sales for you. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Purple Bed brand. They sell mattresses, Purple, okay? Mattresses in America, it is a bloated industry, right? There's so many different mattress companies out. So it's probably a hard sell. What makes your mattress better than all the other mattresses that have been around forever? Well, it's the personal story about personal. So here's what you're going to do and what they did. They created a company brand, and you're going to create a company brand. But what is your company brand other than a logo and some color? Well, it's establishing what makes you different from your competitors. What makes you different? For Purple, they are rocket scientists. That's what they say they are. They're two ex-rocket scientists that decided to make a better bed. And that's their whole brand, that it's science-based, it's different than anybody else. No one else is coming straight out of NASA and into the mattress factory, and we know what we're doing. And then you're going to determine the services that you will provide, just like they did. They determined sleep, mattresses, comfort, health. And that's what they did. You're going to do the same thing. What are your services? And then they created the marketing material. and the marketing material. If you've seen it, if you're familiar with the mattress company Purple, if they squish an egg down and they jump on it, and then, you know, it tells you, hey, we're rocket scientists. That's why it's so effective. So this bed for me was a $1,400 bed. And I have never purchased a bed for that much money. And I don't even really think I ever really focused on beds too much in terms of like, I just didn't really think much about beds. But their marketing was so good and their story was so interesting to me that they were two ex-rocket scientists that I purchased the bed without much thought. I just trusted them. And this is a person who would never in my life would I thought, oh yeah, I'm going to purchase that. So that's the importance. And that's what the benefit of good marketing will do, and a good story. So let's talk about your marketing. What is your story and why do you want to do it, right? So we already know what Purple's marketing history is and why they decided to do it and how effective it is. But what about you? You might think, oh, I don't really have a story to tell. Well, you can be anything. Are you a lawyer, right? And you try cases like these in the courts all the time, payers versus insurance companies and doctors versus payers, and you know that you can make a difference and you understand a little more the back end of the business that maybe the layman doesn't know. So you could be an effective revenue cycle management company. That's your story. Have you been injured, hurt, or sick? And you, in your experience with your own medical bills, have caused you to want to help others? You don't have to be a lawyer. You can just be a regular person. You garden for a living, or you're a landscaper or an accountant, or you work at a front desk at a medical records office, but you know what it's like to deal with these medical bills. And it is a passion for you or a drive. That's your story. That's a part of your marketing story. Maybe you're a data scientist and you're like, oh, you know what? I think I can perfect these codes. I can design something, a plan to make these codes go through and reduce denials. What is your motivation? What is your story? And that can be, your motivation can be a very powerful marketing tool. So when you guys look at yourself, I don't want you to think of yourself as like, I don't have anything to offer. What is my name? My name is the Jaded Medical Biller. That's what I have to offer. I was in this industry for a very long time. I was frustrated with a lot of things that were going on. It jades you when you realize that things just are not done the way you think they should be done. And that was what made me successful in my industry. It's my branding, the Jaded Medical Biller. What's yours? So I want you to figure that out. Sales. So like I said, if your marketing is done properly and your marketing is really thought out, take your time, think about it, tell your story. When you do that, your sales process is a lot easier, so much easier. Okay, now you can create scripts and pitches. And remember, these things are available in Cario's partner portal, right? So you don't have to do them from scratch. Now you've got the templates. Once you get your website set up, because on the checklist you're going to go through, you can have your website set up. You've got your marketing, you've got your business set up. Now it's ready for you to start. You're ready to start answering these website leads. How are you going to return them? What kind of scripts are you writing for them? How are you going to pitch? How long do you want the sales process to last? Same thing with LinkedIn leads. What do you do with them? You approach LinkedIn leads a little differently than you do website leads. Maybe you're reaching out through Sales Navigator and LinkedIn. How are you going to approach them? I know I'm on LinkedIn and I get probably about, probably less than a lot of other people, but about 5 different inboxes with pitches a day. 5. And when I look at my 5 inboxes and my 5 messages, it's always one-sided, right? In the pitch, which is a big thing I cannot stand. It's like, I can offer you a service and you pay me. I can offer you a service and you pay me. And you might think, well, that's not one-sided, that's two-sided, but not really. Not really. You want to pitch, it is one-sided because I don't necessarily always need your services. And you haven't told me why it's important for me to take your services. So in your LinkedIn, you need a little different, like not only you're going to pay me, but what can I offer? But see, that's easy for you to do now because your marketing and your story and your branding is so well developed. When you're pitching people, your value is easily understood and seen. What are you going to say when you drop in person? A busy office, a slow office, a chaotic office. All of these things need to be developed. What type of script and what kind of wording are you going to use when you're cold calling, where you don't know anybody and it's just like cold? They don't know who you are. How are you going to follow up? What are you going to say? All of these things, and what are your follow-up emails going to read? All of these things it's a science. When I tell you it's a science. When I first started my business, I didn't follow this science because I was overwhelmed. I had a lot of things to do, but it hurt my business in the long run. And it delayed the growth and the scaling of my business, because when you are marketed to something, or you fill out, like for this webinar, you filled out your email and then they gave you an update, and then they sent you a thank you, and they do all of these steps. These are the things you also need to develop as a business owner. The same thing, follow-up emails, follow-up calls, different links for different connections. And remember, a lot of these scripts are in the portal for your partner program in Cario. Going back down, sales. Sorry guys, I'm learning my webinar tool, so sometimes I'm switching back and forth. Okay, so we're still on sales. This is the second part of sales, prospecting for new clients. Okay, all of that is very important. How are you going to do that? I want you to have a plan for that, so that you're not spending so much money when you're starting. And eventually when you grow, yeah, spend a lot of money on prospects and stuff like that. But in order to do that, you've got to have that plan, business plan, where you're really cinching down and niching down who's your market target. Okay. How are you going to qualify your new leads? That is a process you'll need to know. You'll want to research, and you want to do a lot of preparation. So if you get clients from your website, which you will, guys, without even ads, they'll call because people are looking for this service. So you don't even really have to start doing ads before people are calling you. I didn't do any ads when I first started my business. And within a month, I had 2 clients. My first client was my ex-employer. I took him with me. But my second client was a small clinic with 14 providers. So immediately within 17 days, or I would say 14 days really, I had about 16 providers and 2 clients, and I had no ad out. So I want you to understand how to qualify them, research and prepare when you see their links come in, and find out what kind of company it is, what they do. So when you're calling them back, you've got at least the basic information. You want to go ahead and quickly craft your pitch, include a lot of your marketing, because that's what's got the lead in the first place. And then figure out how you're going to handle objections. A lot of your objections will be experience, references, things like that. Some of you are brand new to the industry. You don't have any case studies. So how are you going to handle that? Okay. How are you going to, if it's asked? Rarely is it asked, but it might be asked. How are you going to handle it? How are you going to negotiate and close? That's another thing. Negotiations can be a little difficult, but I think it's made easier, especially in our industry, by just understanding what their need is. And once you know what their need is, it's easier for you to negotiate in terms of how you're going to proceed in terms of offering your services. Okay. And then you want to nurture your leads. And the nurture your leads is a process. It's the scientific process that I'm talking about. Your follow-up calls, your scripts, things like that. You need to nurture them. When people sell to you, you understand, you get email notifications, you get return calls. People go, I just want to check and see if you've managed to, look over that proposal, or if you're ready to start. It's the same thing. You'll need to do that for medical practices. And let me tell you, when you're dealing in the healthcare industry, you got to do a lot of nurturing. These people are very busy. There's a lot of chaos going on, especially in the financial area, the medical billing. Sometimes they forget, they're putting out fires everywhere. So your nurture sequence has to be very well developed. Client onboarding. Client onboarding is very important. It's the last step, guys. And it's what I call the money-making step for you. Because once you do all of that, you've set up, you've got your roadmap, your sales and your marketing pitches are together, your branding, you know who you are, you know what you're offering, you're confident in your image, and you have managed to nurture them and they've signed a contract with you. Now you've got to onboard them. This is really important. You want a onboarding process that is the same, that is consistent, and that gives you everything you need so that you look like the most professional business. You want them to say, I'm glad I went with them. When it's time for onboarding, they know what they're doing. So gathering information, that has to be established. How do you gather information? How do you do most of the gathering without having to get the client to help you, right? Because you want to take a lot of pressure off on them. Are you going to go into the system? Are they going to give you full access to the system and you're going to do most of the gathering for them? Or are you going to ask them to give you information or mail or email or Dropbox stuff? You want to establish contacts. This is a very important aspect of the onboarding. Who do they call? Who is their client manager? If they need questions, who is the person that can get all the questions answered for them? That's a part of the onboarding process you need to establish for each client. Data migration, like I said, how's that going through? Do you have a team? Are you doing it? What's the process? Import, export, are you going in the office? And then scheduled and organized updates. That means you don't necessarily want to talk to these people, your clients, every day, all day, right? It's stressful. So do you schedule once a week? Do you say, I need one person from your team to talk to me for an hour, and then I'll do it next week, and we'll do it in 3 days and 2 days? The more you schedule it and it's organized, the more professional you look, like you know what you're doing. I'll take this information, we've got it all set up, and now we're coming back on a Wednesday to do this information, and we'll do this next week. I want you guys to give yourself and your clients 30 days at least to set up so that you don't set yourself up for failure. So you say, now that you've signed a contract with me, it's going to take 30 days to set up, and then maybe an additional 30 days for, support or something like that. But give yourself time to get all of their information into Cario. And so if you let them know a time frame and it's scheduled and organized, you look professional. You don't look like you're taking your time or you're delaying. You look like this is the plan. And then you want to organize, you want to develop a way to have fast and quick collections for your new clients. I'll give you a tip that I don't really tell a lot of people, but because it's Cario, I'm going to tell you. When I do clients and I have a new client, I want to get their money for them as soon as possible so that they are happy with what I offer. And what I do is I go into their denials. And the first thing I take care of for them, and this is a trade secret, guys, is I take care of their additional information rejections. That's what I do. Easy, simple. So I'll blow through it. I'll put a team on it and I'll do all their additional information, and they'll get the maximum amount of money from that. Then I'll do something very simple, like I'll go into the clearinghouse for clearinghouse denials and just clear up some of those odd denials that happen with data information. So that way the money comes through super quick. A little extra money. That's my tip. You can use it or not, but that's what I do. And then this is the part during the upselling, during the 30 days, this is where, or during the onboarding, where you can upsell your services, your patient pops, your additional services that you offer, maybe credentialing, maybe you do patient collection or things like that. So you can offer all of your upselling services during this part. And that's why I call it your money-making service and because during this part, or your money-making part, or your money-making section, because you're going to upsell. And then also this is where you can ask for referrals sometimes, and they'll say, oh, this was such a wonderful process. I have a friend, another colleague, and then you'll gain more business here. So guys, I know I went through a lot. And I want to say that if you do that, you're going to demonstrate your value, okay? You're going to exceed your client's expectations with a good onboarding process, increase your efficiency and your revenue, and ensure a client satisfaction. And then you're also obviously going to improve your regulatory compliance, because if you've got everything down in like a checklist on the onboarding, you're not going to miss anything. And everything's going to be established for collections. And once you're done with maybe your 30 days, you can really turn it on and crank up your staff and really start to collect for your clients. That's my 7 steps. I really do hope it helps. I know that you guys are probably hearing a lot of this kind of stuff from all over the place, and you're looking at YouTube and things like that. But this is a proven, tried and proven strategy. This is what I did. And it works for me, and it works for my students and my clients, and I teach it over and over and over again. And I haven't had any feedback that says this process is not good. So I hope you take it into consideration and start utilizing some of the resources that are in here. I also have a coupon code in the resources that Cario will provide. So once you get my free checklist, that's completely free. In the checklist, I have certain links that I offer things. There are certain affiliate links, and there is a onboarding template downloaded bundle, and there's a 50% discount for only Cario webinar users if you choose to use it. And so thank you for joining me for my webinar, and I hope you enjoyed.
All right,
Technical.
All right, thank you so much, Rachel, for that great presentation. Before we get to everyone's questions, I do want to take a moment to let you know a little bit more about Cario. While I'm doing that, please feel free to enter any final questions, and Rachel will get to them in just a minute. Cario is the leading cloud-based technology platform specifically built for the success of independent medical practices and the billing companies that serve them. To learn more about Cario for billing companies, please visit us at cario.com. Our solutions consultants will be more than happy to show you how Cario can help your business grow. We are proud to share that we've been honored with numerous awards and acknowledgments for value and functionality for AHR, billing, and practice marketing solutions. Cario's complete and integrated solution includes Cario Engage for practice marketing and patient engagement, Cario Clinical and easy-to-use and intuitive EHR, and the Powerful Cario Billing Module, an integrated practice management system to help you get paid. Cario offers valuable added services such as telehealth video visits, a robust analytics tool, and effective and affordable patient payments and patient statement solutions. All right, and now, Rachel, if you're ready, we can start running the Q&A.
I'm ready.
All right, so the first question we have is, what medical billing courses do you recommend for those who have no medical billing experience?
Good question. So I have a few suggestions. One, I'm a big proponent of learning on the job, because that's how I started. I didn't get my certification until years later. And that was just because I thought, well, maybe I should get it because people are asking about it. And it was more like just a test, which I passed, but I already had the experience and the knowledge. AAPC, AHIMA, those are 2 good ones. I also have a partnership with Medical Billing Systems that does their own course. And so it just depends. There really is no right and wrong. I will say you can go to your local technical college. I don't really care where you get it, because at the end of the day, the AAPC is established. It's really good. I like them. I have no complaints. At the end of the day, you're still kind of new, and you don't really know everything until you're in the trenches and in the field. So if you need the certification for confidence, for knowledge initially, go ahead and get it. But again, like I said, you're still going to be in the new side once you get it, and you're really not going to be a competent medical biller or coder until you really start working the job. That's my opinion.
All right. And then do you have a program you recommend to assist billing companies get their first client?
Yes. So the program I recommend is my program, actually. So it's a course for starting your own medical billing business. And it goes through scripts. I have my own scripts. Cario has a script. You might have a script. Put them together. It talks about how to find clients and how to talk to them and what you need to point out. And in my course, it does kind of go over a lot of the things that I've found over time. When I talk to doctors, I need a different script. When I talk to therapists or practitioners like a PT or a behavioral health professional, I need a different approach. So I do recommend my course. You can go to the Jaded Medical Biller and find that. And in my opinion, I haven't found one that's any other course that's even out there, but you might have found one, but I haven't. So my course.
Right. And then do you have a sample business plan or a template we can use to draft one up?
Yes, I do. It's in the medical billing business startup template bundle that is linked in my free checklist. So the free checklist will tell you exactly everything you need to know to start your own medical billing business. The first 3 or 4 steps of the checklist, you essentially have started your billing business. It started. Whether or not you are successful or able to push it into a revenue building business, those go further down into the checklist with my tips on helping you how to do that. But the first 4 steps, you've started. And so towards the end, I have a bundle, which is 50% off just for Cario webinar users for a limited time. And that will give you a template for the contracts, a template for the business plan, and the checklist, as well as some other worksheets that help you with productivity and imposter syndrome, which is what I dealt with when I started.
Okay. We have a question on how to reach decision makers in the office, because physicians can be very sensitive about billing. Are there any specialized B2B portals where billing companies can find requests that come in for billing companies?
Yes. So I'm going to tell you, I've spent thousands of dollars on trying to get past gatekeepers into decision makers. And the most effective way is LinkedIn Sales Navigator. That is where all of the decision makers are. And a lot of them will reach out to you on LinkedIn. However, if you are getting approached through a website, you're already through the door, right? If they're on your contact form and they've approached you, you're talking to a decision maker. So understand that's another in. And then if you're trying to make inroads and you have to go through the gatekeepers, my approach is a soft approach. I say you either go in with a phone call, you get the name of the person you're speaking to. You drop in with coffee just to say, hey, we're in the area. Don't drop in with it. Actually, call them first and say, I'm by a coffee shop and I'd like to drop in and hand you some information about my business. And then get all the names of the people that are at the front desk that will be there. And now you've got the names. You drop off coffee, you drop off the information, and then you can come back later and say, hey, it's me again. Remember, I dropped off some coffee. I was wondering if I could get in to talk to the doctor. If you have any questions, set up a lunch. I think it's very important for you to understand in this industry, very important, that you have to spend money to get into these clinics. The clinics are bombarded with people all the time offering them services. And you are competing with a lot of pharmaceutical companies who come in with lunches, who come in with dinners, and it's unrealistic. And I want you to understand that, to think that you could get through without offering something. And especially if you're in the healthcare industry, you do understand that you get priority. If you drop off something to me and you've got some pens, thank you. I'm going to put it on the desk and I'm never going to mention it to the doctor because I don't really think about it. I'm busy. But if you're coming in and you're offering me something, I feel obligated to at least pass it on to the doctor or maybe to put you on the schedule. So this is going to be a part of your marketing budget and your funding planning, to understand that there is money involved and needed in getting through gatekeepers if they don't come to you. Because if the decision makers don't come to you and you're going to them, you need to figure out a way to get in, and it's usually coffee and lunches.
Right. And then how do you handle incoming clients that are already tied into a billing EHR company contract already? This attendee has 2 clients and is having a hard time getting into each system, but they cannot get out of their existing contract without being monetarily penalized.
So there is a way to import and export. So you can, when you're dealing, this is why I don't like a budget billing company. I don't want you to compete with outsourced medical billing companies overseas, because this is the problems that you will face, right? And you might need to eat that expense. You're paying for Cario, but you don't want to charge the customer for Cario. So you need to make it up, because you're the business owner. This is a business, in the percentage that you charge them, in the charge fee of each service that you give them. If you're charging at such an astronomically low rate, and then you are working with a company like this, then you're eating into profits, and that's what you don't want to do. I understand when people first start out their businesses, they do a lot of things they wouldn't necessarily do if they had a lot of money and a lot of different clients. So you're probably starting out and you're making a lot of concessions for people because you're happy to have a client, and I get it. So what I would say is call Cario and figure out what the export import process is, and then contact the payer or the system that the client is using and figure out their export process and try to export it like that with reports. That's the easiest. So you can just pull it all in. You may need to manually do everything because that's just the situation you're in right now. It's a part of growing pains when it comes to starting new businesses. But I would start there at least, trying to see how much I can export with the permission of your client. So you could do in Cario, and then that would make it easier. And I hope that explains it. And if not, please contact me at thejadedmedicalbiller.com and say, hey, I'm the one that asked that question, and I'll give you a little more detail because it's a little complicated. And then I would eventually push to move towards Cario. And if you're a good biller and you can get their denials down really fast and their reimbursements up, then you might be able to convince them to just eat the loss, because it'll be worth it in the end, because the system with Cario is so productive that it's making them more money anyway, just by doing a better job. So consider those.
All right. And do you have any recommendations for a direct marketing database? So it looks like this person has tried direct marketing with BCBS, address database, and more than 60% return back.
Yeah, I do have a lot of experience with that. And that's what I mean. If you're going to spend money, go to LinkedIn. Get the Sales Navigator, which is like $99 a month, and then utilize Cario's partner portal for the scripts. Because when I first started, I was paying people. I was paying professional salespeople to help me with the scripts. And you see what I'm saying? I was paying for that anyway. Cario already has that. And I did not know how to talk to these people because I was new to the industry, whereas Cario is developing scripts off of years and years of experience. So direct marketing, I'm reluctant to say no to it, although I've used it and I've not had a lot of success. The success I usually get, you'll find, is word of mouth. During your onboarding process is when you can start asking for that word of mouth. Doing Sales Navigator, making sure your website is a really good website and it's easy to find, and you're pouring into the SEO and the keywords and the tag words on your website so that people who are already hot leads, people who are already decision makers, are typing in and finding you and then contacting you. That's more effective than a lot of these direct marketing companies. I work with Postcard Mania. They have more success than others. But Postcard Mania, like I said, it will be in your marketing plan. Market for it. It's expensive, but they do a lot of they're specialized in medical billing, and they send out postcards. But for the most part, I think that when you start out, really just focus more on your content and your copyright on your website, your brand, your story, your scripts, your pitches, and how you're overcoming objections, because your moneymaker is going to be your mouth. It's you talking and contacting these people and convincing them that you're the best company for them and getting them to sign the contract. That's going to be the most effective for you. And stay on LinkedIn.
All right. I think we have time for one more question. I do want to let everyone know that if we don't have time for to answer your questions today, we will be emailing out all of the webinar resources, as well as all the questions that came in from the Q&A. All right, so the very last question we have time for is, many prospects are stating that their practice management software makes claim management easy, and they only want help with denial and rejection management. It is difficult to make money doing the latter. I'm curious how you've handled that objection.
I completely agree and disagree. That is, many people will say that. And I'm going to tell you, probably 100% of companies you're talking to are in trouble. Do not believe it. Do not believe it. I've been in many of job interviews when I was an employee and sales calls where, oh, we're good. We've improved. We're doing this. And then you get in the books and you're like, you're not good at all. So I actually encourage my students to go for the AR first. And there is a lot of money in AR because there is a niche there. There is a road there that is people are not utilizing. When you're dealing with AR, many patients or many practices have thousands, sometimes millions of dollars in AR. That's really just lost due to timely. They don't have the staff. So you can get in with a unique sales pitch to say, hey, just give us an opportunity to show you what we can do. We'll take your AR account. We'll leave your existing system and team in place to take care of the daily wave of claims. We'll come in on the back end, clean up your AR. But see, when you're in the AR, you're in a unique position. You can see all of the mistakes of the practice. You know exactly where all the holes are. If they're not doing a proper job on eligibility, authorization, if they're messing up on data entry, if they are not coordinating the payments properly and the benefits properly. So now you have tools to use when it's time for you to go back and try to get the full contract. So you can say, hey, it took us about 3 to 6 months to clean up your AR. We did that. We noticed this was the reason why your AR was gathering speed and gathering numbers, and we will take care of that for you. And then you can come in and get the full contract. So I like the idea of coming in for AR. I recommend it all the time, especially if they've got a team and they're not really ready to let you go or let them go, or they don't know how to lay people off, or they're already paying for a team and they're in a contract. You can just say, hey, we don't get paid unless you get paid. We'll collect your AR. We collect based off what we collect. And then once they see how good you are, then you can come back in when your contract is finishing, get the full contract, or offer to come back in quarterly or every year to clean up the AR. And that's also a contract. It's just a different type.
All right. Well, thank you so much again, Rachel. That's all the time we have for today. Like I said, we will be, in the next few days, we'll be emailing out all of the webinar resources. We'll follow up with answers to all the Q&A questions. So please look out for that email. And thank you so much again for joining us today. We encourage you to follow us at cario.com for more information. And we look forward to seeing you at the next webinar. Thank you.
I really want you guys to just kind of plug in, put your head down, and really thrive and do work, because there's so much profit and availability and business here in this industry. And I think that my little community here, I want you guys to enjoy it. I want you guys to enjoy the financial freedom. And I am excited for your journeys. Okay. Thank you for joining me. See you next time.